So welcome back, and in today's video we are going to look at the final keyword in Java, the importance of using the final keyword and what does it mean in other words. So in other programming languages, the final keyword is represented by a const, using the word const. In a programming language like JavaScript, the C languages, const is the word, but in Java we use the final keyword. So today we are going to look at final keyword, and we are going to see how to use what is the final keyword, the effect it does on variables, classes, and methods. Yeah, something like this. So let me create a small variable here. Const in string is equal to name, which is equal to let me say colon, something like this. Let me print out this name here, the terminal name. So compile and run. I'm able to access colon, but what if I use on this variable, I use the final keyword. So what does the final keyword in other words mean? The final keyword means after you putting your final keyword on your variable, it means that this variable you have made it constant. It cannot be modified in any way. So this is what I mean. I'll call this name here. I say I want to assign the variable here, a new variable for this name. And I say the new variable I'm going to assign is, let me say, again, something like this. You will see that this is not accepted. Why? Because of this final keyword. You cannot modify a variable having the final keyword simply because this, after using the final keyword on the variable, you automatically make it a constant. You cannot modify constants. So even if you compile this and run, you see that we are also getting errors on runtime. You cannot assign a value to final variable. Why? Because the final keyword means you have made your variable a constant, something like this. So when you remove final, you see that it is accepting. When you compile and run, you see that again I have successfully assigned a new value to this variable simply after removing the final keyword. So that's how the final keyword affects the variables. So let us see the next thing. The next thing is the class. How does the final keyword affect the class? Let me say I'm having two classes, class A, which is my parent class, and class B, which is my child class, but my child class is extending attributes from class A, something like this. Yeah, so let me say I'm having a void method here, void, then it's called show. Say this show, I'll say dot out print. This is a show in A, in class A, and I will use the same method here that I've created in class B. So to access these two methods, you know what to do. You would first create a new object. So I will say B is equal to the new object. B is equal to the new object, which is new object of B. So let me say I want to access the show for both. I will say B object dot show, something like this. Then when I run and compile, I'll be able to access this. Oh, I have to change this. Sorry, differentiate. Run again and compile again. Run and compile. You see that I'm accessing class B, this show. But what if I change this to A and A, something like this? So when I compile and run, you see that I'm able to access the A. So my question is, what if I use the final keyword on this class here, on this class here? So automatically after using the final keyword on class A, simply what effect does the final keyword put on classes? Simply the effect is after using the final keyword, you cannot inherit attributes from this class anymore. Yeah, that's the effect it does, the final keyword. You after putting the final keyword on your class, your parent class or any other class, you cannot inherit attributes from its class again, meaning this is now static. You cannot inherit its attributes anymore. But when you remove the final keyword, you see that I'm able to inherit. But after putting the final keyword, it means that I'm not able to access values in this class anymore. So that's the effect the final keyword does on classes. So let us see, can remove this. The next thing is the methods. What does the final keyword do on methods? So let me say I'm having here down an add. I'm adding two numbers, num1 and int num2. Let me say I'm not going to return anything. I'm going to use a void. So I'll say system.print out num1 plus num2, something like this. So I'll use the same method here down, num1 plus num2, something like this, same method. So I'll come here down, I say I'll change this to B and this to B. So I'll access that method, the one that I've created, object dot and the add. It is taking two numbers, so I'll say 3 and 5. So when I compile this, can first comment out this. When I compile this and run, you see that I'm able to access 8. Simply the 8 is coming from this here. So when you use the final keyword, what happens when you use the final keyword on objects? What will happen? So let me come here and I say use the super keyword to access the object in to access the object to access this object in our parent class, to access this method in our parent class. So when I compile and run, you see that I'm able to access 14 and 8. But what if I don't want this method to override or to override my child method? What will I do with these two methods? So when I use the final keyword on the method, the effect it does is that you cannot override this method here in your child class, cannot or will not override the method in your parent class. So that's what the final keyword does on method. It removes the ability of overriding. So we have seen the effect of the final keyword on variables is that you cannot modify the variables. We have seen the effect of the final keyword on classes. It removes the inheritance importance or the inheritance abilities. We have looked at the final keyword on methods, whereby it removes the override abilities. So that's the final keyword for you. Thank you.